All right, I'm here. We're getting started. I'm not dead. It's been a long 3 days. All right, no more Zomtoast. No more starting soon. A little less cat cam. Just a little less. Are you going to hang out with me? This is a perfect time for you to hang out with me, cat. I don't really need to use my mouse. And I won't be fighting any zombies, so this is the perfect time for you to take over the desk if you want to. If y'all wanna. Hello. So I was really sick Monday, and then I was like, you know what? I was sick Monday. I'm not gonna push myself. I'm gonna keep Tuesday as an off day. And then, of course, tragedy struck, late Tuesday into Wednesday night. A family issue came up. So there was no Wednesday stream either. That's what you get for taking it easy. That's what you get. The worst happens. But we're here now, and it's time to go over patch notes. Have you already gone over patch notes? Are you ready for, like, I saw Retinaru had a video called Reading Patch Notes, and it was like 2 hours long. Are you ready for the next 2 hours to be? Oh my god, I'm scrolling. Okay, we found the end. We found the end. So, we're gonna go over this. No, come back. Abandoned. Abandoned for her favorite toy. She's like, I gotta keep it safe. Oh, wait. Are you going for the newly refilled food, cat? What the heck? Oh god, that did not make it better.
Put your hands together.
But not. Why one
sign.
strand?
It's a
Why
symbol
are you
of our
doing this?
friendship.
Stop it. Where are you? Oh my gosh. It's like a comb over, except it's just my forehead. All right. One singular strand. Please behave yourself. Wheelie Wonka.
Put your hands together.
Oh my gosh, thank you for the
Now
2
mark this with a
months.
Special sign.
Actual Dave. Thank you for the 14. Fuck you streaking by on that 125. All right, but yeah, we're going over patch notes. It's patch notes. So if you want Project Zomboid gameplay, come back in like 2 hours. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna learn some stuff. We're gonna learn stuff. And then I have backed up my world, so we'll try to update our world to the new one, although I've heard not great things. All right, but we got purple, dark blue, blue, dark or green, dark green, yellow, dark pink, pink. The choice is yours. Please, Wheelie Wonka, an actual Dave, pick a color. If there are any more subs while I'm doing the patch notes, we'll deal with them after patch notes. No interrupting 2 hours of patch note reading goodness. But let's say hello. Just so that when YouTube gets this video, they can be like, oh my god, patch notes start 5 hours into the video. Thank you so much. So many people will click away, but thank you for the timestamp. What up? Gino, Flatline, Adora, Lynn. My pinned comment always blocks, like, the first part of chat. I can't remove it. Roach bait. Daddy cat. You got your wish? We can carve baseball bats at Carving 9. Fantastic. We need end skill rewards. Just more rewards. We need rewards. We need little tasty treats at the end of like 20,000 XP grinds. What up, C'est la vie? C. Pedarius. Hello, hello. What up, Focus? Panic. Darth Thaddeus. Alex Speed. Sierra. Clocking in first over on YouTube. Howdy. What up, J Dub? Fan of cards. Sif, this is your swamp. This is your swamp. What up? Paul, Doug, Damon, Meister, thing for the lurk, Duke, Whiskey, the fluffiest cat. So fluffy. So much fur. She has to be the main culprit of every time I find a cat hair in my mouth. It's her. She's doing it. Plotting against me. Cat must have sufficient pets before stream. We know who the boss is here. What up, Clam Shuey? Zero Skill. Crusty Dingleberries. Hello. What up, Spillies? Mac Poopy Pants. Congrats on not being dead. Hey, it was 40 degrees Monday and somehow snowing. All right. Do you understand how much of a mind fuck, like literally with my migraine that was? Do you understand how much I was like, it's 40 degrees and snowing. I understand why my head feels like it's going to explode. I understand. Cautionary tale, after updating to 42.4, your animals were dying of thirst. I had to pick up and put down your troughs to get them to go back to 50 liters from 50 milliliters. Okay, so, but you updated your world relatively successfully, is what I'm hearing. Also, fan of cards on that 255. Nice. Great job. 255. Every day, you and me. High five. Co-workers clocking in. One of your saves kept crashing after updating. Ooh, green looks good.
Put your hands
I appreciate
together,
it.
And I'll mark us with a special sign. It's a symbol of our friendship.
I'm behind in
hands
chat. I'm catching back up.
Special sign. It's a symbol of our friendship.
It's a symbol of our friendship. Encaged alien. 'Tis but a scratch. Thing for the bits. 'Tis but a scratch, but a minor flesh wound. I just saw that somewhere for streaming. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Was that Amazon? Maybe. Willy Wonka? Encaged alien? Maybe the two gifted subs, marking them up with special signs. Actual Dave, what color? I feel like I've missed it. I don't have a dark pink yet. Ooh, do I need dark pink? Let me look. All right, I don't think I need dark pink, so you're gonna be a black star. Sorry, superseded. All right, we'll do that around break time. Actual Dave. So this is how I remember. I write your name very tiny. And then I know. Next break time. Time to do a black star. I'm here too. What up, Roachbait? Thanks for being here. Ooh, only issue I've noticed so far is this patch messed up your water troughs. Okay, that's not a big deal. Woo, I think animals drink from water tiles now. Time to have a base at the unusual farm. Oh my gosh. I have PZ in the background and I just heard the thunder noise from it and I was like, what the heck? What the heck is that? Odd. Picking up your water troughs and putting them down didn't work for you. Had to build new ones. Well, hopefully they're still cheap. Full fix for me was pick up, put down, quick game, save, load save, troughs now fixed. Ah, the good old turn it on and turn it back off. Zemisco. Hello, hello. Turtle. Fluffception. She probably puts hair directly into your mouth as I sleep. I bet. My cats walk all over me when I'm in bed. What up, Abba? J Dub? PDM had a lot of weird little things happen, but I don't remember. Same here. We had positive degrees and snowing. It's crazy. And it's been happening for days now. I ran out of migraine medicine Monday, but luckily I didn't feel too bad Tuesday or Wednesday. I was not the one sick on Wednesday. And then I got my prescription refilled today, so I'm back to a full stack. Yeah, updated your 9-month world successfully. I'm seeing lots of errors in one area, but I've been able to play mostly problem-free. Abandoned us for so long. I assume we get 16 hours today. Yeah, that's how it works. When you're sick and busy, make up for that by gaming 16 hours. Well, I plan to stream a lot. We'll be streaming today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and hopefully we'll get some long streams in there. All right, but let's jump into it. Just a short 30 minutes. All right. All right, we're going over build 42.1. Hot fixes. Also, congrats, Mark GG's and Daytime Cracker. Encaged Alien has marked you with a special sign. All right. We're jumping into it. Build 42.4 unstable released. Fix Mac unable to load. Okay. New. Added extended placement UI. RMC on a 3D item on the ground to move it. Right mouse click on a 3D item on the ground to move it precisely. Interesting. Added raccoons, though currently there are issues with their fence climbing. Raccoons have been added. Who has seen raccoons? Added 5 new flyers. That's what we needed. We needed more flyers. Build window and handcraft window are now usable with a controller. To navigate between the different panes in these windows, press and hold the right shoulder button and use the D-pad. Added controller support to crafting stations that use is craft bench panel. Added controller support to is fluid info UI.lua and is fluid transfer UI.lua. Added using the right joystick to quickly change the value of is slider panel. Chicken coop. This is now a tabbed window separating the egg laying nests from the roosters or from the roosts. D-pad up radial menu displays the animal radio menu with pet pickup, etc. D-pad right radial menu displays the designated zone option. Animal designated zones can be created by selecting start and end squares with the D-pad. Animal info windows allowing renaming, etc. Butcher hook UI. Butcher hook UI. Okay. Livestock trailer UI. Added controller support to the flyer newspaper windows. The X button toggles the text view. Nice. The Y button reveals the location on the map. Great. Don't save and restore inventory window and loot window layout when using a controller. These are always positioned automatically at the bottom of the screen. Fixed inventory window and loot window column layout after resizing the screen. When using a controller, added research progression for metal armor, both scrap, welded, and proper blacksmithed. The debug item list viewer will now have columns displaying whether items can be crafted, foraged, or found as loot. Added new sounds for resting on chairs. Old-fashioned generator, wood log gate. Adding missing recipe forge spade head. This item had no recipe to create it. Added specific sprint to aim anims for weapon types. Added and repointed transition anims to use correct anims for sprint stops. Added 2 new biomes, depending if close to lake or river. Added tracking of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins to the body window. In general, debuggers option. Added scalable sidebar icons. Added scalable sidebar icons? What's that? Are those the trait moodles? Those are always scalable. Interesting. Added vehicle sound alarm script property to allow a different sound for car alarms than the horn. If the alarm sound isn't specified, the horn sound is used, if any. Added new chickens folly sounds. Added fluid container meta entity system and push fluid container components to meta. So rain collectors will be filled with water when player is away. Yes! Oh, the greatest change. Thank you. Oh, we don't have to stay at home on a rainy day now just to make sure our rain barrels fill up. It's happening. They're just gonna fill. Okay, changes to the LUA debugger, added small, medium, large, mono-spaced fonts. This is the Noto Sans mono font. We use Noto Sans for Thai and Noto Sans mono for the same license, which I included. Added a combo box to the LUA debugger that allows switching between small, medium, large font sizes. Source window line numbers are right justified. Source window background colors was changed from white to gray. Angel code of font no longer compresses font textures. This is already the case for most UI textures. Added read check marks to print media, brochures, and flyers. Oh, added red check marks. Nice. Okay, so now when you have a flyer, you'll get a little check mark if you've seen it before. Thank you. ISO game character gained these methods: void, add, read, print, media. Boolean is print media. I don't even know what these words mean. Boolean is print media read. String media underscore ID. Hash set less than parentheses. String greater than parentheses. Get read print media. Animals now recognize rivers. Okay. Buried under all of this boring stuff. Animals now recognize rivers. If the zone includes some waters tiles, lake, river, it'll be shown in the zone UI. Nice. Animals will try to drink from river they can access before anything else. Change some behavior to eat grass. Animal will now look around him instead of purely under his feet. made other changes to try and make their behavior more consistent and smart. Updated a couple of rifle aim anims, added play music when paused audio option. But what about an audio option that lets me control rain noise? How about that? Don't know what's vanilla anymore. I play so much modded. That is unfortunately one of the side effects of playing a lot of modding. I'm doing a vanilla playthrough now after playing with mods for so long, and it's rough. It's hard to go back. That's one of the reasons why I only dip my toes into mods. It's once you start modding, it's hard to let those things go, especially the quality of life mods. You're just like, why can't I have it? It would be so much easier. Simply decided to retire, never to come back. No, I would definitely let you know. Probably. Unless I get hit by a bus or something. The proximity inventory one gets you every time. I keep forgetting to look into containers. Are you thinking about doing the Spiffo Rat Race challenge? I am. I've been kind of a little helter-skelter recently, so I'm trying to catch back up on everything. Oh no, they're trying to port to console. This is good. Like for Steam Hand Deck users, I think there's already some kind of console port. It's good. Console players need some love. Not everyone can afford a crazy expensive PC. He goes on a roll. It's almost impossible to stop her. I have to do it. I want to. I'm just super behind with everything right now. Even with chat. Look, you guys need a turtle for your race, okay? You need someone who's gonna be slow and steady to clean up to clean up the back end. All right. Balance. The shop looted story will no longer occur in single room buildings. Some utility buildings used electronic store or similar room defs for their single room, which means that the police and bandit zombies could spawn inside them as a looted shop story. God, why don't I get to see any of these bugs? You open up a little electric substation, and then there's just a bunch of like cops and raiders packed in there. Added missing. I would probably die, so maybe I'm glad I didn't have it happen, but it sounds fun. Added missing craft recipe allowance for making nailed broken planks. Rebalanced table leg weapons. Chopping logs and large branches into firewood will produce splinters. This is so chopping firewood always produces a tinder item. Okay. I mean, I see how it's useful, but I'm also dreading how many splinters am I going to end up with? Every time so chopping logs and large branches into firewood will produce splinters. So what is chopping logs? They mean sawing planks? What are these terms? What is chopping a log? What is a firewood? I don't know what that means. We can make firewood now? There's just a new wood? Why do we need new wood? All right, this will be interesting. So far, my initial reaction is, oh my God, why do I need more debris? We have twigs, we have splinters, we have logs, we have branches, we have planks, we have broken wooden objects, we have saplings, we have long sticks, we have rods, we have so much wood, and we cannot overfuel our fires anymore. So what am I to do with more wood? Please, are we gonna get biofuel as an option? Can I just shove all of my twigs into a pot and make gas? Yeah, there's so many things. Broken branches. Was this who was complaining? Who of you were complaining that we needed more twigs? Who did it? Who was like, "Oh man, I wanted to start a fire, but I didn't get any splinters, so now I have to." Oh God. Oh God. All right. But we'll just see. We'll just see. I mean, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's just like a little something extra, a little sprinkle of splinters tossed in for us. All right. Nails can be used to research the Forge heading tool craft recipe. Okay, that's nice. Added the following items: improvised screwdriver. Okay, here we go. It added the following items: improvised screwdriver, firewood, firewood bundle, firewood with nails. Added recipes to make an improvised screwdriver, chop a firewood from logs and large branches, bundle firewood, unbundle firewood, firewood with nails can be made using General Nails weapon craft recipe. Firewood burns for longer than other wood items by weight. By chopping logs and large branches into firewood, you increase the length of time that they can be used as fuel for campfires, etc. Firewood and firewood bundles were added to some loot and story clutter tables. So just checking. Basically, from here to here, we've added firewood. Okay. Added a wooden clay tool item and a craft recipe to carve one. The icon and model already exist. Make jar of produce can also use seasoning salt. Nerfed wooden spade stats. It is supposed to be an improvised primitive tool, and stats were still too close to a standard spade for how easy it can be crafted. Updated smash watermelon recipe to use its own timed action, so sound and animation issues can be solved. Updated recipes that use crucibles, so they need to be empty. Updated melt sand and melt glass recipes to need a lighter or other way to start the fire. The make screwdriver craft recipe can be learned from melee weapon schematics and the escaping captivity recipe magazine. Added a wooden clay tool item and a craft recipe to carve one. The icon on the model already existed. Limited some actions such as drinking and cleaning bandages to fluid sources that contain only water or tainted water. Updated drinking from ISO objects, sinks / barrels to use ISO game character dot drink fluid, open parentheses, close parentheses, to ensure correct health effects with all fluid types. Uh-oh. I've been warned about this. I have heard that it's no longer safe to drink from river water when you are very, very thirsty. I've heard it'll kill you now. So be warned. It's gone. They listened. They made the game harder again. Now dying of thirst isn't just, or your cure isn't just a puddle away. Dramatic sound effect. Characters will no longer auto drink from a bottle that is being filled. The action has to be complete first. Added a craft recipe to carve wooden goblets. Reorganized the carving craft recipe file to order recipes by skill level requirements. Added recipe research allowances for forging spade heads to relevant items. Added a craft recipe for sewing a leather tool roll. Added a crafted baseball bat item and the craft recipe to make it. It requires carving 9 and has to be learned, but you can research it from wooden baseball bats, large branches, and short bats. So, I mean, basically instantaneously, if you have a large branch, you can eventually learn how to turn it into a baseball bat. Oh, thank God. Increased campfire capacity to allow use of buckets for water purification / cooking. Thank you. The looted / trashed building should have more broken and open doors and more broken windows to better signpost their status as looted and trashed. Ground floor locked windows in looted trash buildings will be unlocked. Corpses will now sometimes spawn outside of trashed and looted buildings. This is RNG dependent. And also buildings don't really have much of an outside footprint. It's basically a row of squares surrounding the building in most cases. So there's not much real estate to work with. Okay. Trash will also spawn outside of trashed and looted buildings on ground squares. Again, not much real estate to work with here. Any ground floor locked doors will be destroyed. The basements of trashed and looted buildings will be less trashed and looted, proportional to how deep below ground level the individual basement floors may be. Interesting. I like this little tidbit here. How deep can we go? Halved the maximum size of buildings that can be trashed and looted. Reworked the corpse spawning in trashed buildings to use the new corpse spawning code. Additionally, sometimes trashed buildings will have one or more zombies or corpses of bandits, survivalists / militia in them. This is rare, but as those outfits can have good loot, it will serve as finding some of the missing loot. Reworked how a bunch of trashed build code works. Checks to prevent story content occurring in kids' rooms. Was preventing stuff from occurring in areas without rooms. In addition to some other checks were being too aggressive in preventing content occurring in some squares. Additionally, more attention is paid to doors and windows and locked, closed garage doors. Looks like it's your first diamond. This looks like it's your first. Lethal, thank you. I'll get back to you at the end. Pick a color. Thank you so much. Uh-oh. Where did I go? Where did I go? I should have highlighted. Okay, reworked a bunch of trashed buildings so they'd spawn correctly. Additionally, more attention was paid to doors and windows, and locked, closed garage doors should be broken. Added recipe research progression for several tool category items: masonry, trowels, masonry, chisels, more fleshing tool, more sickles, tweezers, forceps, files, whetstones, nails, and heading tools from nail-spiked weapons, buckets, crowbars, trowels, etc. Added recipe research progressions. Okay, so check your tools. See if you can get some free XP from them. You have a list. All of these. Check your tools. I'm saving that for later. So when I jump in the game, I can go look at all those items and get some XP. The carved bat recipe was added to the pool of recipes that can be on a melee weapon schematic. Added the improvised screwdriver items to some attached weapon definitions, bandits, survivalists, and later game zombies may have them attached or impaled within them. Iron and steel bars, bar halves, rods, and rod halves will break into halves when they break, like many other melee weapons. It's possible that people may exploit this as a materials processing exploit. You should still be able to saw, forge, etc. broken rods, bars into halves as is. And it is arguable that, I don't know if they finished this thought here. It's possible that people may exploit this as a materials processing exploit. You should still be able to saw, forge, etc. broken rods / bars into halves as is. I think it's fine. If they're worried about people fighting zombies with rods to break them in half so you can get halves, and they're saying you still need a special saw, I mean, you're risking your life to potentially break that bar in half, I guess, unless you're like using it to beat a garage door or something. But that's a lot of time. The player is sacrificing real life hours to get a little bit of a gameplay advantage, or if it's even an advantage. An alternate route, I wouldn't be too worried about it. I wouldn't be too worried. Added research progression for pots, cutlery, pans, and saucepans and kettles, although their craft recipes are commented out. Rebalance the skill level requirements for the welded weapons as they were too bottom heavy. Changed make small scrap weapon to make saw blade hatchet. It was a multi recipe that could also make a scrap cleaver, but also there was already a scrap cleaver recipe. Halved the time required for the recipe research action. Having a magnifying glass or... Ooh, what's this? A loop? What's a loop? Oh, a small magnifying glass used by jewelers or watchmakers. What, is this something we can add to our keychain? Having a loop. Am I saying that right? Tell me how to say it. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Loop. Loop. I mean, that's what it looks like. I just had to double check. What is that word that looks like it's pronounced loop actually pronounced like? Oh, loop. Okay. That's the exact same reaction when I read Milquetoast for the first time. I'm like, what's that word that looks like it's read Milquetoast? Oh, it's just Milquetoast? Okay. All right. Fine. You added in a bunch of extra vowels. But we got there. Having a magnifying glass or loop, aka a small jeweler's magnifying glass, in either hand will further slightly reduce item research time. Cute. Like that. Little touch. I like it. Little touches. Make it worthwhile for me to bring a magnifying glass everywhere I go. On the off chance I'm ready to decipher. Added research progression for pots, cutlery, and pans. Did you not already say that? Increased the burn time of firewood bundle to match unbundled firewood. Added an add a corpse function to ISO grid square. The code generates and drops corpses in multiple places, so having a utility function to use instead will simplify matters. A player's relevant highest skill level can reduce how long craft recipes can take to perform. For every level, the highest skill level is higher than the highest recipe skill requirement. The item required to perform the craft recipe will be reduced by 5%. So if I'm level 10 and I'm crafting... If I'm level 10 and I'm crafting a recipe that has a level 5 requirement, I'll get 25%. The time required will be reduced by 25%. That's not bad. That means things that are really small will be super easy to craft. Start doing carving now. Do it now. Added pocket watch to my keychain. It doesn't show time. I know. They need to fix it. They gotta fix the pocket watch keychain. Fixed item or fixed times repaired, not trans. Oh no. Fixed times repaired, not transferring from the weapon to the blade when dismantling blades. The times repaired inheritance for weapon parts is probably going to have more gremlins. Wait, what do you mean more gremlins to flush out? All right, so are they saying it's not fully fixed so we can keep fixing it? Reorganized welded weapons recipe, file by skill level. Nice. Rebalance the weapons that can be produced by welding, generally strong reductions in durability and lesser reductions in damage and criticals. The intent of these weapons is to be crappier, crude versions of properly crafted weapons. Under ideal circumstances, a skilled blacksmith would produce properly crafted real weapons instead of the crude welded weapons. Rebalanced some weapons produced by napping in regards to durability and damage output. Fixed several recipes having duplicate condition fields. Reorganized the napping recipe file by skill level requirements. Changed the category of some napping related weapon and tool assembly recipes from survival to assembly, as almost all weapon and tool assembly recipes are in that category, especially ones involving sticking heads onto sticks like these ones. Minor tweaks / simplifications / consistency-ing to some napping recipes. The Nap Stone All Crafted recipe requires no skill level to perform. New. Rebalance several cudgel type weapons in regards to their damage and criticals. rebalance the skill level requirements of several improvised weapon recipes involving carpentry or maintenance. This is to make the weapon recipes less bottom heavy, skill level requirement wise, with a more drawn out progression, and providing more room for blacksmithing to be a superior option, assuming materials and workstations. Everybody's got to be a blacksmith. If you want the good, you gotta start leveling blacksmithing. Some minor rebalancing of mace and Morningstar type weapons, consolidated some code for spawning corpses into ISO grid square, added coffee to the items that can spawn as kitchen countertop clutter, added craft recipe for making an improvised knife from a machete blade, changed text display strings for crude sword slash short swords and their blades to simple swords slash short swords. Oh my gosh, short swords. They can say that word. And blades to be consistent with how most every other crude weapon and tool have had their display name string changed to simple. Change display text strings for crude whetstone to improvised whetstone as above. Spiked bone clubs can be crafted. Ooh. When wood and bone can be combined. Interesting. I like that. That sounds like a bunny perk for sure. Applied placeholder values to crafted metal armor for bullet defense. This isn't very realistic as is and is subject to change, but despite being quite low, ranging from 5% to 20%, ideally, we will have better handling of armor types versus specific calibers of ammunition at some point. So this is to acknowledge that we aren't going to ignore the matter in the meantime. The baseball trait teaches the carved baseball bat craft recipe, added new display string for weapon mag 7 magazine, the Louisville Bruiser, which teaches the carve baseball bat craft recipe. Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's so much. Researching pots and pans makes me think of this adorable judge on a baking show I watched. She kept wandering off to the storeroom to admire the cookware. Brought a big ass pan back to the judge table to show off how it was riveted. We're gonna get some copper cookware, right? I keep seeing crafted copper cookware, like a copper saucepan, copper kettle, and I'm just like, yes, we need more variety. We need a ceiling and or wall mountable hanging rack that'll display our pots. You know, we're just asking for things. We're just asking for things. Can I get like a Tuscan kitchen, like my pots and pans hanging from the ceiling and set that up, please? Can we get that? It would be nice. I looked away. This is why I have to keep reading. I look away and then I can never find anything. Can't find where I left off. All right, baseball bat, weapon mag. Okay. Added some checks to the other looted to building store stories so that if the looted building option is disabled, those other similar but different stories from the trashed and looted building shouldn't occur. They will also use the same limit on room numbers that the trashed and looted building story uses, modified some general purpose crafting LUA code used for knapping and carving to be more flexible, robust. Added craft recipes for sawing wooden rods from long sticks, tree branches from saplings, and small handles from wooden rods. If you have a saw and a source of long sticks, saplings, brooms, mops, hockey sticks, etc., you'll be able to produce wooden rods and small handles without any carving beyond carving saplings and hockey sticks into long sticks, which doesn't have any skill requirement. So you can just carve a lot more things now. And then were they saying you get extra stuff? Allows players to use liquids from different containers in craft recipes. Added the item and craft recipe for flint saw and scraper. Ooh, what's a scraper? This functions as a crude saw for some, but not all craft recipes. It can be so simple / crude. It can be used for simple / crude work, but not fine work, as well as a fleshing tool. Okay, that's what I was wondering, if that's what the scraper was. Saws and crude saws can be used to make log furniture, in addition to axes that can chop down trees. Added the item and craft recipe for a twig broom. Nice. I want to make a twig broom. This does the things that a normal broom does in regards to cleaning and being able to be used to make spears. Made the recipe from using rope from dog bane, the recipe for making it from hemp, and the recipes for making twine from dog bane, and the recipe for making it from hemp or flax, consistent in regards to their tools, durations, etc. Added animal skeleton with no heads. Balanced butchering, meat given. Okay, so you're not going to be starving now when you butcher a pig? I butchered a deer and I got one piece of meat and I think it was like 60 calories or something ridiculous. So that'll be interesting. We gotta go kill a deer. Added the trait Mason, which provides 2 levels in the masonry skill. Characters with a Mason trait know several workstation building recipes that involve bricks or stone and concrete. Adjusted the masonry skill bonus provided by the construction worker profession.
Little pig, let me in.
From +3 to +2. It's probably still too much for the point cost of the profession, but it should at least be consistent with the mason trait, which is consistent with other skill traits. The mason craft recipe for making stones from large stones provides more XP. Nice. Mason craft recipe for making stone blocks from stones now requires masonry 1 and provides XP equivalent with its level requirement. Nice. Welcome in, Bognar Vic Gaming. With the 3D place, can kind of have that in the kitchen. Can I truly rotate them like 360 degrees and place them anywhere? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, my decorating. We're learning, we're reading notes, we're learning about all the changes. There are a ton of changes in this. This was, I think this was 3 weeks. How long was it since the last patch? And they're adding so much stuff, like new stuff. They're overhauling balance. They're fixing bugs. There's a lot. They've redone the map. So you have more foraging zones, raccoons. Oh my gosh, you can carve a baseball bat. I have to blow my nose. So much stuff is happening. That's where I am. Oh my gosh. I just wanted to check where we were. We got a lot more to go. We got a lot more to go. Uh-oh, scroll back. There I am. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just reading. Just reading. I gotta power through. We'll be here forever if I don't keep reading. They did. Raccoons are here. They have a little trouble apparently climbing fences, but the raccoons are here. So get your raccoon breeding happening now. Okay, similarly, the recipe for making small stone wheels, large stone wheels, and stone anvils requires masonry too. Some of these arguably should be greater to provide progression and more XP, but this is the initial rebalancing pass. Added stone masonry recipes for making stone maul and large axe heads using a club hammer and masonry chisel. These have a much higher skill level requirement than the knapping versions and also don't need to be learned. This is to provide some high level options for the stone masonry skill, and it doesn't seem unreasonable as well when using proper tools. These craft recipes should eventually require a suitable workstation, such as using a flat boulder versus being any surface craft. Changed how the learned recipe / granted XP messages are presented to the player. Although there is no control available over the duration of the message, the formatting has been changed to hopefully be easier and faster to read. My question for this, there is a chat window in multiplayer. Can we not just add this chat window as like a kind of combat log or learning log like you might find in lots of MMORPGs, that any text the game gives you just appears in that log? It could be a little journal icon that you just click somewhere and then it opens that little text-based chat window. I mean, it's just a thought. It's just a suggestion. I don't know how to make games, but if you're looking for something, that would be what I would think of. That's my solution for your problem. It's my solution. Especially, think about it, NPCs are going to be talking to people eventually. You're going to need like a log. You're going to need a log. People are going to want to reread or double check what they just, talked over with an NPC. So a little chat log, getting that all set up now might save you painstaking hours in the future. Someone told Miss Adams about running over a raccoon crossing the road, but he did bury the body. Since raccoons are a representative of spiffos, and spiffos wants you to eat, I think the best thing you could do is eat the animal. Eat it. The true Kentuckian way. You hit that animal with the car, better be able to make right with Mother Nature. Don't Don't look a gift meal too closely in the mouth before skinning it and cooking it and eating it. All right, back to it. All right, we read about the wheels. We read about the log. Added don't record input flag to clay and concrete inputs used to build tiles and workstations. Added the item and craft a recipe for a flint saw. Yes. This functions as... Wait, did I go back in time? This functions as a crude saw for some, but not all. Crafting recipes, it can... Yeah, I already read that. Add twig broom. Where did I go? Or did they double post this again? About, yeah. Okay, I'm not the only one. All right. I'm not going crazy. They did just write this twice. All right. So they added a flint saw. It functions as a crude saw, but it can't be used for all saw recipes. Saws and crude saws can be used to make log furniture in addition to axes that can chop down trees. Added the item and craft a recipe for a twig broom. Yes. This does the things that a normal broom does in regards to cleaning and being able to be used to make melee spears. Made the recipe for making rope from dog bane. Making for hemp and other recipes, making twine from dog bane. Okay, you already read this. Boosted the durability of spears. Made using proper forged spearheads. Nice. Are spears finally getting a boost? Made the copy building key craft recipe not researchable. It was too easy for any player to learn it from building keys. And is supposed to be more of a criminal heist type thing. Okay. Added crafted bone and wood knitting needle items. Added craft recipe to carve bone and wood crafted knitting needles. Added recipe magazines pioneering carvers that teaches the carve knitting needles recipe. The recipes for carving bone awls and sewing needles were also moved to this magazine from another one. Extend rain fluid dilution mechanics to dilute all fluid types / work on barrels. Added the trait inventive, which provides a benefit with learning recipes from items, or the auto learn mechanic by reducing the required levels. It still needs an icon. Added the trait artisan, which provides +1 to pottery and glass making. It also still needs an icon. Tweaked the math for the level requirement calculations for the research mechanic. It will now round the calculated level to the nearest whole number instead of always rounding down. Okay, that could be helpful. Tweaked the math for the level requirement calculations for research mechanic. It will now round the calculated level to the nearest whole number instead of rounding down. So does this mean if I have 2.5 blacksmithing XP, as long as I get to 2.6, it'll round me up to level 3? And then I can start researching level 3-esque things? I like that. I like that a lot. Always round up. When appropriate. Always round up. Oh my god. Added the flint saw as a valid input for several crafting and building recipes. Added craft recipe to saw wooden baseball bats and nail spiked baseball bats into short bats, which will also reset their condition if damaged. Okay, cool. Consolidated the second spear dismantling recipe. Reclaim from spear 2 with dismantle longer implement, as both craft recipes output a broken long stick. The spears this recipe dismantles involved spear heads that have been mechanically attached to the spear shaft, and their removal breaks the shaft versus taped on spears. Okay. Again, they're trying to boost spears a little. So a taped on head won't break the shaft of the spear. Added a crafted recipe dismantle garden implement for cases where a broken garden tool handle should be produced and not a long stick. This should be consolidated with dismantle longer implement. But I'm not certain that multiple output mappers currently works as desired. Added the input tag research input. If the input item has recipes that the player can research, they will learn them. Added the research input tag to the electronic and radio dismantling recipes. Added researchable progression to radio type items. Rakes can be dismantled for a rake head and broken long stick. The Siberian Bear Hunting Recipe Magazine also teaches the recipe for forging spearheads. Oh, is this a little tidbit? The Siberian Bear Hunting Recipe Magazine. Interesting. I don't know if I have that one yet. Also teaches the recipe for forging spearheads. Are we looking down the line? Are spears, which are no longer great for zombies, going to be ideal for fighting large wild animals if you don't have guns? Are we going to eventually be fighting black bears with spears? The Bear magazine teaches you to make spiked iron armor. I always I guess I default this, but when we have little things like this, I think of what like the Vault Boy commercial would be. It's like, are you having trouble with the aggressive wildlife? Are they trying to eat you? Cartoon bear and eating a little Vault Boy. It's like, well, I have the solution for you. Just start sticking knives all over your body. Now you're way less edible. And it goes to show a bear try to bite you. And it's like, ow, my mouth. Huzzah, you've survived one more day in the apocalypse. You need to wear sharp, spiky armor so when the wolves go to bite you and drag you to the ground, they hurt themselves. And make sure you carry a spear on you so you can climb up a tree and poke them from far away. I know, just a thought, just an interesting little connection they're making there. Gets the imagination going. Filleting fish provides butchering XP and not cooking XP. Hallelujah. That is so nice. Boost your butchering. It's probably not a ton of butchering XP, but boost your butchering with filleting your fish. Balanced butchering further. Added rotting stage for animals. Currently, I only have bloody skeleton, but rotten corpse before skeleton is coming. Oh, God. Please wait. The wooden bucket carving recipe requirement has been increased. Wait, the wooden bucket carving recipe requirement has been increased to 2 from 3. Okay. Several carving recipes, including forks, buckets, goblets, and spades, require being learned. Appropriate traits teach these recipes, and appropriate recipe magazines teach them. However, alongside generous auto learns, there are ways to research all of these recipes. Wood spoons can be used to carve wood forks, and boon spoons. Oh, that's a bone. Bone spoons. I was like, what the heck's a boon spoon? Bone spoons. Wait, maybe a boon spoon is something? Is a boon spoon something? Oh, welcome in, Raiders. Hello. We are going over patch notes, so get ready for reading. Okay, is a boon spoon an actual thing, or is that supposed to be bone? Because it says wood spoons can be carved into wood forks and boon spoons, which I don't know. And then it says, and be used to carve bone forks. Are they saying bone spoons can be used to carve bone forks? That's what I think they're trying to say. This just makes sense, but also allows for cunning XP goblins. What? Is that what you think of us? Are we cunning XP goblins? To double down their gains while crafting carved tableware? Fuck it, I'm an XP goblin. I won't hide away from that title. The wooden trowel can now be used like a hand trowel alongside being able to be used as a plaster trowel. Nice. And a mason's trowel. Nice. I made a wooden trowel thinking I could use it as like a wooden gardening hand trowel, only discover it was like a plaster trowel only, or mason's trowel only. So great, love that adjustment. It's perfect. Instead of making 3 wooden trowels, just make one, make them do all the things. It should break very easily though. Because now why have all these other things? Like, why have a hand trowel? Why have a plaster trowel? And why have a mason's trowel? When I can just make a singular wooden trowel? This wooden trowel has become a handy knife of trowels. So it should break very easily. If you want balancing, because that's immediately what my mind jumped to. It's like, all right, I no longer need any of these. I just have wooden trowel. Boon spoons are spoons carved from the skulls of baboons. Ah, the boon spoon. A boon spoon is a lucky spoon you give to a guest at New Year. They then hang it above their doors to scoop all the luck that passes. Give me a boon. Wait. We do need large, decorative wooden tableware we can hang on our walls. Bad to the boon. And the Deathclaws say, we thought of it first. Yeah, guy says, why is spicy? Well, it's from Vault Tech. You can't trust everything you hear from Vault Tech. I've heard of loot goblins, but that's a new one. We're always goblin. adjusted the auto learn requirements for some carving recipes and that they were too generous. No, they are still generous. I mean, it was gonna come. It was gonna happen. That's just the auto learn recipe requirements, though. That's still not carving one wooden rod into 4 medium handles. I'm so glad. Hopefully that still exists. Tires and tire pieces both provide less tire armor research recipes, only teaching shin and forearm armor. However, crafting those and researching them will teach additional tire armor recipes. Consolidated the metal mask craft recipes by material into one recipe. Ammo straps, double holsters, and crafted hide holsters can now be cut up for leather strip and buckle alongside belts. Fix some errors with base.base and some craft recipe scripts. The durability of stone, bone, and simple slash crude metal spears was boosted. These all compromise proper spears and as such are being slightly de-nerfed. Disabled some LUA farming code for handling being damaged by vehicles. It was redundant as it is handled Java side. Several disassembly recipes for long and longer type implements were consolidated into one craft recipe. Its output mapper should produce the correct head and broken handle from dismantled object. Rebalanced animal, bone, club type weapons. Okay. Added craft recipes for processing copper, gold, and silver scrap sheets and bars. Okay, does this mean start hoarding all the gold and silver you see? Added craft recipes for forging goblets and metal cups. Restored craft recipes for forging copper kettles and saucepans. Added craft recipes for processing copper items into copper scrap. Copper scrap can be made into copper sheets to craft copper items. Added recipes for forging gold and silver spoons, butter knives, and forks. Added recipes for forging the Jawbone Morning Star weapon. All right. That sounds fancy. Added craft recipes for producing gold and silver scrap by processing gold and silver jewelry. All right. Let the hoarding begin. Do you have a massive gold and silver pile you've been sitting on this whole playthrough? Time to start gathering it up. Smelt away. Although this will produce any appropriate gemstone for the processed items, this uses procedural on create code to generate them, and they will not be displayed in the crafting UI. This is a case where it's not practical to include that information in the crafting UI due to specificities of the craft recipes in question.
Pig, let me in.
I'll at the end I'll say thank you, but I appreciate it. I gotta read. I've probably got at least another hour of reading. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Okay, we already read that. They're just gonna give us the gems. They're not gonna tell us about it. That's fine as long as we get the gems, okay? Although this will produce any... Yeah, we read the gemstone part. That's here. With players should be able to generate blacksmithing XP by producing gold and silver tableware, goblets, cups, and masks, by scrapping gold and silver jewelry and producing gold and silver sheets from the scrap. So gold and silver should be very early game from the sounds of this. I mean, as long as you have a blacksmithing setup, and might be the way you start doing blacksmithing. Level 1 blacksmithing, you're making yourself a bunch of golden spoons. Sounds just like the apocalypse. Added recipe for rendering metal baseball bat type weapons into aluminum scrap. Also, I just want to say again about players have naturally been doing this from the start of Project Zomboid, gathering up gold jewelry, silver jewelry. So the fact that this play, the way people are naturally engaging with the game and playing it, is kind of being funneled into actual like early game leveling up, because spoons are the easiest thing you can learn how to make. So this is like level 1, level 2 blacksmithing right here. It's such a natural progression path. I love that Indie Stone is gamifying it and using it to maybe get people to start down the blacksmithing path. I think it's a great incentive. Good job. Great work. Added recipe for rendering metal baseball bat type weapons into aluminum scrap. Aluminum scrap can be used for the scrap sheet metal weapon craft recipes. Aluminum scrap can be further rendered into aluminum fragments, which alongside aluminum foil can be used for some bomb and radio recipes. Iron and steel scrap can be rendered into iron and steel pieces and can be forged into chunks or quarters or bar quarters. Adjusted how this yields work for scrapping vehicles. A more useful spread of crafting materials should be produced. Adjusted the carve short bat recipe to require a higher skill level. Wasn't it level 6? And to be learned based on feedback. This is taught by appropriate profession traits and magazines and can be researched. Adjusted the carve wooden spade recipe to require skill level 4 and not 3, also based on feedback. The forge buckle recipe needs to be learned and is taught by appropriate professions, traits, magazines, and can be researched. So just chop up a belt, right? Just chop up a belt and look at that buckle. Adjusted the weights of some metal scrap items for better consistency with crafting. Rebalanced nutrition values for alcoholic beverages. Nice. Skunk might be back. Beer run again. You can't wait to see Claire's golden tea sets. I mean, that's early days in the apocalypse. How else are you going to level up your blacksmithing skill except by hoarding all of the gold? Removed XP for subdividing fish fillets. That's fair. This was just so oversized fish fillets could be made to fit smaller containers, but players were using it as an XP generating exploit. Opening canned food with a knife or sharp stone is now any surface craft and not in-hand craft. This is to make it less likely for players to unintentionally select this option when opening cans. Additionally, with right-clicking, you cannot both select the can and knife, and you can break a knife or your hand performing this craft recipe. You should use a surface when stabbing. I like how this last part, You should use a surface when stabbing a can open anyways. Just kind of sounds like, you idiots. You should be, anytime you go to stab open a can, you should already have a surface. It sounds like real life advice a little bit. I like it. I like it. Just tacked in there. You should be using a surface anyway. Very fair. Very fair rebalance. Totally agree. Like the reasons behind it. Except when I'm out in the woods starving with a can of peaches and I can't open it with a sharp rock and then I'll curse your name. But, you know, it makes sense. Based on community feedback, mildly nerfed short bat class weapons. Their minimum damage value was... Okay. So you made it harder to make the short bat and then you nerfed it. You nerfed its overall damage. I don't know. I'm not a numbers person, but you already nerfed it by making it harder. So now it's a harder to get item and it's a little shittier than before. It seems like an over nerf, but that's fine. That's fine. And bone weaponry got a buff. So maybe bone weaponry will be better for short blunt, but I don't know. Short blunt didn't have a lot going for it. Now it feels like it has even less. At least the devs are watching your runs. Get owned, short bat users. Noobs down. Noobs down. Yeah, what should they use instead? A crafted axe? A level 1 crafted axe that you can make day 1 versus a weapon that they didn't tell us what level you have to be to craft the short bat. So they said it's no longer level 6. If baseball bats are level 9, I'm assuming a short bat would be level 7 or 8 maybe. So now you have to wait to like level 7, 8 carpentry to make a weapon type that even at max short blunt skill will not one-shot most zombies. They just want you to go blacksmithing. They really want you to go blacksmithing. Blacksmithing is end game. Seems to be the message to receive. This doesn't affect spiked clubs and maces, both of which are made from short bats. These are end-game blacksmithing weapons, and as such should be meta weapons. Why? Why are we all being forced to become blacksmiths in the apocalypse? I thought all other weapon types were supposed to have semi-equivalent endgame weapons, but now it seems like just go blacksmithing. Fuck everything else. Blacksmithing is the way to go. Everyone will just rush carpentry. You mean carving? Carving to level 9? I mean, rush carving, rush blacksmithing, rush one skill type. That's always existed in the game. But it really feels like, I mean, until they nerf bats. Until they nerf bats, because we can make them now. It feels like they want to funnel us into blacksmithing, which didn't seem like the initial idea by adding in all these different carpentry things. Or all these different weapon crafting systems. But it's definitely feeling like that. Like blacksmithing seems to be the most essential of all the crafting types, and putting time into other crafting types not as valuable because their end game rewards are not as valuable as the end game rewards for blacksmithing. So I don't know. We're going to see a lot of blacksmiths. Everyone's going to be a blacksmith. Blacksmithing, because it doesn't affect these weapons because they're blacksmithing weapons and as such should be meta weapons. Okay. All right. Only blacksmith. Got it. Learn the lesson. Increase the knapping skill level requirements by 1 for the large stone axe head and stone maul head craft recipes. Looking over community feedback, they have acquired a meta weapon reputation. Their statistics have already been nerfed, but as is, they also had remarkably low skill level requirements compared to weapon crafts in general. So this may need to be increased further. I liked being able to craft a wood axe at level 3, 4. I was surprised that we could craft it that low, but the fact that people are saying the large stone axe is a meta weapon is crazy. You could kill 10 zombies before being completely exhausted. And that was with an axe spurt, with a fast axe swing. All bomb type weapon items have a maximum condition of 1. This is to prevent them from ever spawning in a worn state. From having a condition of less than 1/3 maximum. Added survival schematics. They are like other schematics, but teach wilderness and post-apocalypse type survival craft recipes. Cute. Leather drying racks can be built using the flint saw item. Slight buff to break disc type weapons as heavy type weapons. They were underperforming. Road kills will now yield way less meat and of poor quality. Moved dig furrow in the shovel sub context menu. Okay. Is that the right click menu? Shovel sub context menu. Animals can now be added to graves. Butchered meat number/value will be reduced with time passed since animal's death. Start lowering at 12 hours. This meat can be rotten if the animal stayed dead for too long before butchering. Update the status of food for animal dead bodies. So it'll say stale/rotten if needed. Added animal bodies rotten version. It takes 50 hours by default. Hours for corpse removal sandbox option to change the animal rotting stage. Fresh, rotten, bloody skell removed. All right. At least all the rats are going to go away. Finally, the roadkill will be gone. The time until maximum trashed and looted buildings has been changed from 56 days to 90 days. The maximum rat index sandbox value has been changed from a default value of 100 to 50 and is also hard capped to 50. Weapons that do not generate maintenance XP now have a tooltip warning the player as such. Brilliant. Love it. Removed the ability to remove buckets from forges. Removed XP from researching items. What? We don't get XP from researching items anymore? Okay. It was nice while it lasted. Reverted calls for adjust max time in timed actions added to commit 26957 as it led to multipliers being applied twice. Adjusted values in is base timed action dot adjust max time so that unhappiness and drunkenness have a stronger effect. Boosted the XP in general for constructing tiles. Nice. This should now be minimum 10 XP per level of skill requirement. 1 to 6 XP for 0 skill tiles. This is because previously with tile dismantling enabled, XP-wise, it was far more productive to destroy tiles than to make them. By a higher degree, the XP awards for building stuff were remarkably low compared to dismantling mechanics. Very true. It sucks building things to get skill XP. Sledgehammers can spawn as surface clutter in farm storage and garage room defs. Restore skull tags in inventory pane for hazardous fluids placed in world. Packing eggs in a carton sets the carton's freeze time to the average freeze time of the 12 eggs. Restore reserve water to plumbed items when mains is off. Restore reserve water to plumbed items when mains is off. I don't really know what this is referring to. Is this... I don't know. I don't know what that means. Is that meaning like you've plumbed something before the power went off? And so, like, I built a house from scratch. Power and water are still on. I plumb my sink. That plumbed sink will now have a little water reserve in it once the water actually goes out. That's what I think it means, but I'm not sure. Because there was always water in sinks, but maybe plumbed is the key word here. That's what I'm thinking. So a sink you plumbed yourself. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Okay. Then we're both guessing the same thing. Fix the discovered recipes and media button, possibly extending past the edge of the info panel. Updated some buildings on the in-game map. Nice. Raised unhappiness and... Okay, I know I just read this because they had unhappiness spelled a different way. They had it spelled with a Y. And now they have it here with the I spelling. Raised unhappiness and drunkenness effects, so actions take 2 times longer to finish if you're at max Moodle level in one of them. 2 times longer to finish when you're a max Moodle, depressed, or drunk. I like that. There wasn't really much of a downside to unhappiness. Now, if you're depressed and you're trying to take a weapon out of your bag, it's going to take twice as long. So depression might be pain. Depression might be pain when fighting. Keep some happy pills on you. Mild reduction in chance / amount of armor and weapons that spawn on survivalist outfit zombies. Nerf to the amount and kind of loot in late game bandit outfit zombie backpacks. Mild nerf to the amount of loot in late game survivalist outfit zombie backpacks. Both bandits and survivalist outfit zombies will have good stuff. They were just a nudge to have slightly less good stuff. Well, I haven't found any skill books on them, so fuck that. Fuck that. Get me some of these loot pinata zombies with 8 skill books, 8 level 5 skill books on them. I never saw them. Extended plumbing. Find external water source. Test to find water sources within range of all sprites of a multi-sprite iOS object, e.g. bath. Okay. So baths have basically been fixed. You used to have to plumb both sides of a bathtub. Slightly reduced old and cheap generators. Sound, radius, and volume. They are still louder than the good ones. I don't like this. I don't like this. I need my old generator to work as a decoy. Alcohol's your happy pills, though. It's not going to work anymore. You need the actual pills. You need the actual pills. Is this an upcoming patch? This is the current patch that was released yesterday. We're going over patch notes. This is, I think it's build 42.4. What's my stream title? Yeah, build 42.4. But we made it. We're down just to fixes. Oh my God. We have fixes, foraging, technical. Okay. The end is in sight. It's almost here. We almost got it. All right, I'm on fixes. I'm on fixes. Let's just speed run this. Fixes. Fixed error with make improvised lantern craft recipe. Fixed missing vehicle mechanics overlays for several vehicles. Fixed shin and thigh armor recipes outputting thigh and shin armor. Fixed interrupting of pour / fill / drink / empty, leaving a fully filled or empty bottle. Fixed chop tree, farming, and paint cursors remaining open if the character enters a vehicle. Fixed dismantle medium implement recipe. It could only use the standard hammer as a tool. Fixed issues where fluid transfers sometimes transform all fluids into water. No! No more milk into water. Curses. Fixed issue where fluid transfers stopped partway through. Would leave a transfer either 0% or 100% complete only. Fixed line endings of world map / Docker Linux 64.sh. Fixed issues when medical satchel was shown in right hand. Fixed errors when some weapons break. Fixed being able to chop down infinite trees with stone axes. Fixed character health UI for simplified Chinese. Fixed crucibles, glazed and unglazed ceramic jars not being fluid containers and not being filled by rain. Fixed the firewood with nail weapon using the wrong sounds. Fixed an error with reclaiming rope from firewood bundles. Fixed all clothes unlocked list not fitting in its UI, especially on less than 2K resolution. Plus, renamed randomize outfit button to random. Fixed incorrect spacing for tooltips with names. Fixed sizing of bottom right button sizes to match new report bug button. Fixed issue with spawn select advanced panel to fit with existing UI layout design. Bracket. Fixed split screen players seeing container highlights for other players. Little multiplayer patch in here. Oh, I guess it's split screen players, but little multiplayer patch just tossed at us right there. Fixed missing seat material parameter with carpentry seats. Fixed buildings containing another player being partially cut away in split screen. Another multiplayer bug fix. Interesting. Fixed thirst reaching negative values. Fixed players not being able to slice fish that can't fit in their inventories. Fixed keys with ID equal -1 being spawned. Fix the amount of items being gained through foraging, showing wrong number. Thank you. Fixed crops showing remove as first option when checking their status, as info should be at the top. Yes. Fixed orange LED light being missing from light switches when house is powered by a generator. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for that fix. Fixed error when weapons break or get stuck in Zeds during combat. Fixed texture compression issues with floor overlays. Fixed petting animal sounds being silent after the first time triggered. Fixed inventory item dot on break, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, calling LUA code from the wrong thread while loading items. Fixed being unable to smelt broken items. Okay, keep your broken items. You can smelt them. Fix some blacksmithing recipes producing items that were sharp. For consistency, they should all produce blunt items that require sharpening. Fixed an error that can happen with on break functions when a head part is processed and the item in question is a world item. Fixed some pan items having inconsistent weights. Fixed empty jar not displaying a model in hand when being filled. Fixed flickering object highlighting. Fixed players not being able to leave vehicle if they enter it whilst digging furrows. Fixed Coco regular windows do not have icons on Mac OS, warning on Mac OS. Fixed an error when a character would attempt to research a recipe from an item outside their inventory. Fixed an error where the item research debug text strings could communicate improper information in some instances, saying that skill levels were required when they were not for some item/recipes. This was only a bug. Debug mode information-wise, the mechanic worked as intended. Fixed plastering, painting, and farming context menu options being accessible when in a vehicle. Context menu now hidden when the player enters a vehicle. Fix the player being able to turn while transferring items between containers while sitting. Fixed issue with voice style data not saving with presets. Thank you. That's why Bunny has such a dumb voice right now. Fixed a horde manager throwing errors after changing the spawn number. Fixed zombies lunging forever at players across the sides of staircases. Fixed the most recent issue with tents, tile definitions, and movable object or movables. The old tents weren't working movables wise. Fixed the carve spear craft recipe having 2 on creates definitions in the script. Fixed some input flag processing code when dismantled hafted implements with heads. The conditions and times repaired should properly transfer to the dismantled head. Yes, you talked about that one. Fixed voice pitch slider being non-functional. Fixed zombie thumps on barbed wire fences playing wrong sound. Fixed eggs never unfreezing when frozen. Fixed a wall blocking a staircase and a cutaway issue. Fixed issue where text for need to learn recipe in handcraft panel recipe header was empty. Fixed issue where possible craft quantity would show incorrectly as 0 if recipe was not yet learned. Fixed issue where bowl was not being consumed for make cake batter recipe. Fixed some clay tiles still counting as dirt. Fixed cook trait references to separate make jar recipes. Fixed a typo in one postcard name. Fixed cars facing wrong direction at the drive-in theater, but it needs better parameters so it isn't enforced for other areas of Rosewood. Fixed butchering animals. I'll say this too. Sometimes when people go to a drive-in movie theater with trucks and vans, not necessarily like smaller cars, but trucks, people would just hang out in truck beds. So they would back in. I don't know. You don't need to add this information, but it's the same thing with vans. Like people would just open the backs of their vans to watch drive-in movies. And my experience with this is firsthand. I have gone to a drive-in movie theater in a truck, and we all hung out in the truck bed with chairs and blankets and watched the very first Spider-Man. Long, long ago, in a state far, far away, I watched a movie at a drive-in movie theater. Fixed butchering animals from ground, not producing blood on your character. Fixed coughing, making animals stressed and running. Fixed an air. They're like, she's got the plague. Get away.
Little pig.
You should be able to make your animals sick. If your character is sick and they're coughing around their animals, make their animals die.
Thank you. Thank you. These are my notes. Fix an error with the logic of craft recipe research system when evaluating whether a recipe should be unable to be researched. Fix an error that can occur when repairing saws. Fixed an error with fill pipe craft recipe where it was producing an extra pipe. Fixed animals not drinking from placed bowls, buckets, etc. due to ISO World Inventory Object changes. Fixed add ISO World Inventory Object placed objects in fluid container meta so bowls, dishes, etc. will collect rainwater when left outside. Nice. Does that mean bottles potentially? Fixed discovered recipes and media window having icons too big. Fixed search window not using good/bad highlight colors. Fixed key researching. Fixed horde managers is animation recording flag not working for newly spawned Zeds was getting ignored because animation player was not yet initialized. Fixed missing fluid filled visual states for ISO World Inventory Objects. Fixed missing can add fluid check to fluid container update system. Rain mixing to prevent illegal mixing of fluids. Fixed missing can add fluid check to fluid container update system. Rain mixing to prevent illegal mixing of fluids. What illegal mixing of fluids? Maybe gas and rainwater. If you filled up a bowl of gasoline, don't want water getting in that? I don't know. Fix names of fluid containers and context menu. More verbose names. Fixed inconsistent fluid container contextual options. Fixed clay mug clipping with floor. Fixed the heresy. Fixed the heresy of not being able to pet raccoons. Fixed Spiffo mug not filling with rain. Fixed tile floor missing from build menu. Fixed get water from dispenser sound when drinking from a water dispenser. Fixed chop tree controller prompt from saying carpentry, now chop down tree. Fixed the chop tree timed action failing due to ISO game character dot is hand model overridden by current character action. Fixed press tab to change mode, showing in the furniture moving tooltip when using a controller. Fixed the new larger game speed icons in the controller back button radial menu not being used. Fixed unknown GLFW key code -1 being printed to console. This may appear for sound volume keyboard dials. Oh no, I scroll. Okay, here I am. Fixed crawler zombies are missing some conditions to be set during the game. Fixed pain being capped at 1 when it should be 100. Pain is back. Fixed poppy and mint seed packets using wrong icons. Fixed depth of furrows, depth texture added to the flat farming and gardening tiles. The ones without plants sticking out. Fixed missing depth textures to 2 location restaurant diner 01 tiles. Fixed crude and log fences having block all the square. Fixed some plants have missing best month, poor month /min water info. Fixed poisonous berries and mushrooms missing the poisonous tag and foraging sometimes. Fixed issue with character getting stuck in place. Fixed a problem when adding dead animals via hands in trailer. Fixed deer not having a trailer size, only debug. Fixed put corpse in grave tooltip. Fixed unpainted trailer home walls. Fixed buildings that are 1 square wide or tall always being blacked out when collapsed. Fixed some instances of Zed sometimes getting stuck in bite animation when shot from a distance. Fixed missing animal name in the title of Genome UI. Fixed small and large crucible models being the same size. Crucible models will now display fluids inside them when filled. Fixed some stuff with troughs. Fixed some missing crafting for raccoon leather. Oh no. Fixed being unable to right click on squares adjacent to water. Fixed wrong short sword blade recipe in some weapon schematics. Fixed ISO curtain toggle door not changing ISO curtain open. Fixed IS equipable item tooltips appearing when the in-game map is displayed or any other window covers the icons. Sort items below the possible items header in the crafting UI by name. Fixed sometimes displaying possible items in the crafting UI when the possible items header is collapsed. Fixed show info UI blinking glitch when selecting option from world context menu from afar. Fixed stutters when right-clicking hundreds of objects on ground. Still happens, but much improved. Fixed severe freezing when right-clicking inventories with hundreds of nails in inventory or near world. What about hundreds if not thousands of ID cards? What about hundreds, if not thousands of ID cards, business cards, and credit cards? What about game freezing then? Oh my god. Okay. It's only been like an hour and a half. It's only been an hour and a half. We've got 2 things left. Foraging, which should be covering all of the new foraging stuff they added. And technical, which I don't know. Not as excited for technical as I am for foraging. Menu access in your shed seems much better. So many items. Just don't forget, this is what I've been doing. I've been neglecting it a lot, but I'm trying to be much better about that. Bundling up your shit. You gotta bundle it up. You gotta get all your shit together, put it in a bundle, and then store it. Anyone got a link to the patch notes? Sure, I'll drop you the link. This is, so you can always check Steam for the patch notes. You can go to Steam directly to look at the updates. This is a lot of text. You can't put this much text in a Steam update. So from the update, IndieStone directs you to their forum, and that's where I'm reading all of this on. The IndieStone, makers of Project Zomboid. Old school gaming forums. This is all gibberish to you? I like reading it aloud. It's good. There's a lot of good information in here. Did they fix your gates disappearing? No, that was because zombies ate them. And they might have broken my fix for that. My fix, which was distracting them all with a very loud old generator. The old generator is now slightly quieter than it used to be. It's still louder than the good generators, so hopefully I'm okay. Your water troughs are all 50 milliliters. Try picking them back up, putting them back down, closing your game and reloading it. I've heard that fix works. If not, you're gonna have to destroy them all and build some new ones. All right, foraging. Where it's happening. Hundreds of rat droppings. It's too many rats. Imagine all the things they didn't fix. I mean, there's gonna be more. We're not stable yet. I'm sure there are a couple map locations that need to be fixed. All right, foraging. Add new zones for improved player experience, plus general foraging fixes, plus new forage definitions. Yes, one of my favorite parts of the game, foraging. Let's go. Added lathills.lerp. Lathills.roughly equal. Added lerp. Added lerp support for all is zone display transitions. Should no longer flicker during zone transitions. Removed some unnecessarily handling of fade stepping and some minor standard unused code in search mode. Fixed missing road zone. Images in is zone display. Fixed clouds and stars not showing in is zone display. Adjusted alpha step for fog in is zone display. It now has a very subtle rolling effect. Fixed the first time foraging tutorial page showing the incorrect page. Added support for new forage zones and handling of overlapping zones in is zone display and statistics debug. Added support for mixed forage zone handling. Loot tables can be generated for mixed zones by specifying the zones they contain. Mixed zone foraging. Interesting. Loot tables can be generated for mixed zones by specifying the zones they contain. This also supports handling of doubled up zones such as farm/farmland and nav/foraging nav, which have identical tables. Adjusted biome map config to generate new forage zones. Added forage zone definitions for all biomes in biome map config.lua. Added support for new biomes in is zone display zone images. They just use forest/deep forest for now. Added support for chance ratios for mixed zones and category tables now adjust accordingly. Removed ammo spawns from vegetation loot table to avoid issues with mixed zones. Added a lot of debug logging to forage tables and info about tables/chance injection. Fixed multiples of categories displayed in is zone display. Added very high chances for mushrooms and firewood to be found in organic/birch to differentiate them from regular forests a tad. Cute, like it. Added chance to find stones where it seemed appropriate in new zones based on the existing entries. Added the final pieces for mixed categories, zones, chance ratio, etc. Are mixed foraging zones new? Is this like a brand new concept they've added in? A mixed foraging zone? So like, if I'm in an urban area, but it's also right next to a parking lot, am I going to get road and urban area? Or if it's a road cutting through directly a forest, is that going to be like a mixed zone? I'm curious as to what they consider a mixed zone. It's not farm/farmland. They already said that it wasn't that. That was a redundant mixed zone. So I want to see these. Fixed multiples of categories displayed in is zone display. Added very high chances. Oh, I read that. Mushrooms and organic birch forests. Added chance to find zones and appropriate new zones based on the existing entries. Added the final pieces for mixed categories, zones, chance ratio, etc. And inserting items into forage loot tables. During init step, these chances are added to both category and item definitions. The existing table generation can now handle the mixes without needing any changes, as these are done in advance. Categories are now defined before zones during forage system init step, as this was needed to add chances during init step. Added new step populate mixed zone categories to forage system init. Added a forage chance for all categories with a variety of spawns across the new biomes. Added forage system.statistics debug version 2.0 for setting spawn chances for biomes more easily. This generates and saves a full copy of the loot table with all chances calculated in statisticsdebug.log.
Little pig,
It is broken down into
let
zone,
me
month,
in.
weather, time of day, then by category, then finally by item. Added exact chance calculation for each item in forage system dot statistics debug. Adjust stats file to be much easier to split into spreadsheet columns. Added crafting materials category for foraging. Added existing bottleneck items to this category. These are still in the junk items table as well as items can have multiple categories. Fair. Crafting mats category is hidden to not be focusable and uncommon to find. Determined searchers should find any of these in urban areas eventually. Less likely outside of towns, but still possible. Added multiple category definitions to junk and trash tables to diversify their loot a little more. Increased chances of finding trash items in several biomes. Removed some debug info. Item count per zone, as it's no longer functional with stacked zones. Left some comments related to re-implementing this if it is needed in future spawn density debugging. Added sprite affinities for boulders and stone-like deposits to add a small chance of finding a rock category item nearby. Added slightly higher chance to forage clay during and after rain. So this wasn't here before, and they added it because we all thought it happened. Added slightly higher chance to forage clay during and after rain, so it wasn't there before. Added a very slightly higher chance to find flint for a while after it has rained. Added tiny chance to find trash in organic forest. Removed farm chances from all categories and items, as these are now handled by contains biomes support for parent zone farmland. More loot table adjustments to tweaking for crafting materials and fixed some missing categories and zones. Commented out items which don't exist in the forage tables, mostly old water container items. Combined stacked identical zones to hide them from players. These are no longer visible anywhere in search mode. F2 Picker can still reveal stacked identical zones in debug mode. Split, documented, and commented out forage system statistics debug and forage system create debug log for debug statistics generation. Tidied and commented and documented some further foraging log info that isn't needed except for very specific area testing. Added translation placeholders for the new biomes. These are just based on the names or where it would be near identical, e.g. A PR forest equals primary forest and a pH forest equals acidic forest. Added forage definitions for some more MISC items, minor tables, tidying of commented entries, moved forage definition table clearing to dedicated function in foraging system.init to occur before any events trigger. Previously, this was clearing the table whenever populated. All right. Technical jargon. It should be now possible to add and extend the definition tables using technical jargon. This should also be helpful for modders to keep the correct order of operations when adding definitions via events for the future mixed biome support. So mixed biome is fucking new. Okay. Fucking mixed biome. Show me this mixed biome. Tidied up some comments related to clearing of tables. More forage system tidy up around helper function comments, removed some unused and localized variables in Forge system, added a basic FAQ for Forge system modder reference on how to add items and best practices. That's what I was wondering. If this foraging overhaul is for modders for the new map expansions, since foraging zones used to have to be manually placed and are now auto-generated based on the map. All of this stuff feels like it's been crafted with modders in mind, so you can add a whole bunch of customization to the loot tables, so you can create for map modders potentially your own specific hybridized foraging zones, which will offer very interesting items. Restore forage system do item def check for listing all non-forageable items. It's only available from the debug console. Added save to file support for forage system do item def check to ease checking over all non-forage items. Added many new items to the foraging tables. Yay. This time focusing on missing wild plants, herbs, insects, and most seed-bearing plants. What about the flowers? I want to forage flowers. I want to go out and walk and pick up flowers. I would like a flower search bar so I can just go outside and look for flowers. I want a flower pick in the apocalypse, please. Let me hyper specifically search for flowers everywhere I go. Reorganize some forage table items into appropriate Maybe that's just farm. Maybe that's just farm. I'll just search for wild plants or something and hopefully see a bunch of flowers. Reorganize for some foraging table items into appropriate categories. Reduce the amount of seeds. No! Reduce the amount of seeds given by wild crops and seed-bearing plants by 50% on average. It was a needed debuff, okay? I'm not going to be happy about it. But we were foraging seeds at the old rate. 50% is honestly very generous. When you're foraging like 17 seeds, you're getting a lot of seeds back. Because 17 seeds used to be like 1 or 2 plots of seeds for the most part. Like carrots were like 12 seeds or something ridiculous. So you forage 17 seeds and you're like, oh, I can plant 1 thing of carrots. Now, if you get 8 seeds, you'll be like, oh shit, I can plant a whole row of carrots now from foraging. So I think it's pretty good. That's a pretty good fix. I mean, you just need 1 seed and then you can theoretically grow close to infinite amounts. It's a little hard to get seeds now compared to what it used to be. Since you only naturally get 1 seed back and then you have to use crops most of the time to produce more seeds. It can be a trade-off. Added a scaling value for category chances in is zone display to help color coding cover a wider range. Tidied up some values which could be reused in is zone display. Added bones foraging category for crafting materials. It's very common outside of towns. Increased chance to forage the crafting materials category slightly. Added artifacts category for foraging. This one is rare and only found outside of towns. Added more artifacts to forage loot. Split categories /junk.lua into 6 new category files to be easier to maintain. Artifacts, bones, crafting materials, junk food, junk weapons, trash now have their own files. Tidied up a few more farm zone forage chances where farmland is defined. All right. And now we're just down to technical. Let's see how much of this is needed. Technical, limited the maximum size of console text. Okay. Not reading all of that, but console text size has been changed. Ballistics controller now uses the same. Okay. Remove legacy.pcx support from code base. Add more usage of boxed static values where it makes sense. Lots of gun stuff. Enabled camera targeting for weapons with is range fall off enabled. Updated PZ bullet Win 32 64 natives. Removed unused deprecated DDS texture loading. All right, maybe you all can read this if you wanted. I'm not seeing anything super relevant here for a regular everyday player. Remove some thingle what? Remove some thingle what? Or thiggle, sorry. Thiggle. Thiggle what? What's a thiggle what? Don't wanna Google that one. Remove more unused / needed custom container, blah blah blah. Added physics hit reaction script to handle physics-based hit reaction data. Added methods to force and reset various ISO barricade and ISO window states. Introduce debug options to set barricade state for all ISO window and ISO barricade instances in the current cell. So does that mean you can fix a bunch of windows by going into debug mode and just being like fix windows? Fixed a missing toggle in ISO curtain, toggle door. Reworked combat manager to resolve logic discrepancies. All right, it looks good. Looks good. You're gonna love the new item placement system. Ooh, I'm excited.